Imagine coming home, opening the pantry, and realizing your dish rack is gone. You saw it this morning, but now there is an empty space. After asking your kids and your husband, you find the culprit, your mother-in-law, who was babysitting earlier. When your husband texts her, she admits to taking it, claiming you don't use it enough. You see this as a violation, someone entering your home and deciding you no longer deserve your own property. Your husband, however, dismisses the event, telling you to let it go because he doesn't consider his mother's actions to be stealing. To understand why this specific argument broke the peace, we have to look past the missing kitchen appliance. This mother-in-law has spent years treating her son's house as her personal domain, ignoring standard rules of privacy. The removal of a household item represents the breaking point after a long history of ignored boundary violations. The escalation ladder shows how boundary crossers test minor rules before moving upward. First was information gathering, snooping through personal mail. Next came territorial control, uninvited rearranging of the garage and personal items. Without firm consequences, they reached the top, actual removal of property. By tolerating the snooping and the rearranging for years, the household inadvertently signaled to the mother-in-law that she could eventually walk out the door with whatever she chose. The mother-in-law justified the theft by claiming ownership over the drying rack. It was a Christmas gift for the wife, and because she was present when it was picked out, she felt she had a say in where it belonged. Looking at the actual transaction, the mother-in-law had no claim. The husband provided the money, and the son chose the gift. She was merely a chaperone, sitting outside the loop. Her actual gifts were far less useful: old potpourri and lip balm. While the mother-in-law's entitlement is the catalyst, the husband's response introduces a secondary problem. By telling his wife to sweep the theft under the rug, he takes on the role of the enabler. An enabler's reaction often causes more friction than the original offense. By defending the theft, the husband invalidates his wife's right to her own belongings and her sense of security in her own home. The real threat to a home's boundaries isn't just the person who crosses them, it's the partner who refuses to lock the door. After years of escalation, the wife decided to set a hard limit on who has access to her house. She issued a clear ultimatum. Her mother-in-law is no longer allowed in the home without direct supervision. This follows a zero-trust security model. When an individual proves they cannot respect the rules of a space, all unmonitored access is revoked. Entry now requires a secondary verification. In this case, the husband or wife must be present to monitor her actions. This policy addresses the husband's excuse that the item wasn't being used enough to justify keeping it. Property rights aren't based on an item's frequency of use. Storing a belonging in your own pantry is not a signal for others to take it. Within family dynamics, a boundary functions as a suggestion until a consequence is enforced. Protecting your personal peace and property is a necessary defensive measure, especially when your privacy has been treated as optional. Shared DNA is not a permit to treat someone else's home like a thrift store. When a partner fails to maintain the perimeter, a zero-trust policy is the only way to keep the household secure.